This conference will now be recorded.
As always, everything that we're going to be talking about today is for educational purposes only, and nothing is intended as any type of investment advice. All right, so an interesting day overall. I know things have pretty much kind of died out a little bit on almost everything that we are watching, but there's a few things that look pretty good going into the afternoon. So the first thing that we're going to have to look at is OCGN. So we were talking about this in class before this even had any type of movement. Basically, right about here, right as we finished our class into 11 o'clock. And then this thing just went into full blown exception mode. How do we know that? Look at this volume. It just waxed and waxed and waxed and waxed and waxed and waxed and waxed. Once we got too high to be sustainable, we ended up coming back down. But the biggest thing is that after we got the huge aspirants that came in at 10, we got nothing but off-level buying coming in over and over again. And of course, we did get some actual level buying, but I mean, it was just nothing but the shorter term prints that we've been talking about in class consistently. Now, obviously, at certain points, is it too much to chase? It absolutely is. And just like we talked about possibilities, what we needed ask prints at 1250, pull back, then look for a trigger. Okay, but overall, we really need this thing to come back to reality. And one big thing that we wanted to look at over here, and I'm going to go back and go through this way further into detail with the actual prints when we get into class. But if you look right here, this is the staircase pattern that we talk about all the time. So when you see it break out of that staircase, that's why I said it still had more room when we were sitting at 1250, because there's still more room to be able to go to the upside as well. We've been getting some really nice off-level prints. There's way more than enough buying. This is obviously an exception. But the thing about it is, for the volume to come out like this, I just in no way whatsoever can expect this to not start trading again today. So even though it looks like it's doing absolutely nothing, we're going to be looking for a nice trigger to go back towards that upside, because we have way more than enough buying all the way up here. Be careful of that 1250 level. Obviously a big psychological level, but overall, this is probably going to be one of the better things that we do have to look at. It's just, what it comes down to is just it needs to start trading again. We need to get that volume start pumping back in. Remember, it's more than likely going to end up coming out of nowhere, so be ready for it. Next thing looking at is ADTX. So ADTX, we have really nice aspirants that came in at 550 before. We're ended up pulling back below them. The only thing is that when it makes its moves, the volume pretty much almost always dies out. So when you see those bars that come in that really show that it's just not going to be able to sustain itself, you have to be ready to be on that defense and end up taking off parts of your position, because we have enough buying for us to be able to go up towards that 6 level. We're already kind of making a little bit of a run towards it. We do know that at 550 that we do have a big market maker that's sitting there, but like I said, we have the buying to not only break this double top already, but be able to continue on its way from there. So continue to look for prints like this. 534, I absolutely love it. This person right here is showing us their position. They're not showing us to build. Obviously, it's going to have to kind of pull back a little bit, but they're not showing us they need to build. They're showing us that they're going to be looking for the volume to end up coming back in. And we're getting to a good time for that, as the 1:30 to 2 o'clock area. A lot of times we'll be able to, to get that volume to start pumping back. But like I said, just be careful, because the trades do not last very long. They pop up and the volume gets unsustainable and we die. Then it pops up, the volume becomes unsustainable and we die. So understand that pattern, because if you do not, you're going to be up in your trade and then you're going to end up getting hammered. And that's the last thing that any of us are looking for, looking for that to happen. Now CAN, so coming up to this 1050 level, we do have some pretty decent buying. We had even better buying at 10, so we do know it's a psychological level. We do know that the market maker is sitting right there. It is holding pretty well, but we should have no problem being able to get back up towards that 1050. And the buying up here kind of showed that we have enough room to go up above. It's just a matter of the amount of building. So this is way more than I would have even expected it to pull back from that building. So at this point, I don't really need a pullback unless we continue to see prints that are coming in at that 10. But again, it's another one where it's very sporadic within its volume. We have to understand that personality. So our trades, we just can't expect the highs to last as long before coming back down to break entries. And it just is exactly what we talked about in class, is the actual possibilities themselves. Let's make sure when we're in consolidations that we're paying attention to money flow and not the prints themselves. And from there, we'll be able to, like I said, it's in a beautiful setup right now for us to get some volume to actually start coming into trade and getting back up to a minimum of that 1070 double top. Now, IFMK, I was looking at before. It's not terrible. We had some decent buying that came in at 225. The volume's going down into this dip, but this volume coming out of nowhere always tells us that there's somebody interested in it now, and they're watching it right now. So having that buying at 225, a nice little trigger towards the upside if we break out of this volume pattern. Definitely gives us a high percentage trade there. And then obviously we're going to be looking for those shorter term prints to continue to come in for us to be able to continue on and break past those. And something else that I just want you to keep an eye on is SENS. I know it's very quantity looking. It's not a huge range stock. It's not a huge, really much of anything. But over the course of the past couple of weeks, we've seen nothing but huge buying, and it's had the buying for 5 for a long time. So really going to be interested to see what happens at 4 if we can get some type of spark. You can see the volume, even though it has these gaps within it, it still is kind of waxing on that overall. So really want to see some type of prints come in at that 4 level, and from there we're going to be able to make our decisions. Unfortunately, right now it's just too close to even think about an entry coming into there, but something definitely to keep on your radar and put on your side list. Now, yes, the pot stocks are all, they're moving a little bit and they're coming in, so definitely something that we want to keep an eye on, but there's not really much to go over within them. Anything else out there that we missed? Anything else out there that I missed? VXRT. An oldie but a goodie. Let's take a look. Yes, obviously. So just like we talk about all the time, we need to see what we have. So right here, this print pattern, as we know, is a number 6 because going up. So that one ask print followed by all those bids tell us that we should get a pop-up, which, a quick pop-up, end up coming back down to build. And unfortunately, there's just not enough buying that I see there that really would give us the high percentage of going over that 9. Actually, this isn't bad at all. We're going to talk a lot about how a stock is moving and what the prints mean based off print personality in this later on today class. So this is going to be a perfect example. Definitely, those of you in class, pay attention to VXRT because it just gave us something that's really good. Remember this right here. Remember these prints right here at 9. All right, guys, so let's get ready for our afternoon class. Will begin at 3 p.m. I will talk to everybody in the chat, the rest of you later in class, and happy trading.